welcome everybody to Taste Different Gaming News. What's on the news today? Voice actors are blindsided by SAG AFTRA deal with the AI company. All right, this episode brought to you by KY Jelly. Don't put it on your sandwich. All right, so a deal was announced to the world that the American Actors Union, SAG AFTRA, and AI voice actor company Replica Studios late last night at CES, so that would have been January 10th or 9th, excuse me. This deal would allow willing voice actors to sign AI voice agreements for future video game projects. This announcement has gone down poorly among those firmly against AI voice over work. Details of the voice actors' contracts can be found at the SAG-AFTRA website. In that post, these voice actors' agreements are argued as a fair, ethical agreement that would apparently allow voice actors to safely license their voice for projects, described as an important step towards the ethical use of AI voices in creative projects by game developers. So I'm already getting bad feelings about all this. It apparently establishes minimum terms and conditions for those interested and allows those who agree to one of these arguments to opt their voice out of continued use for future projects. This agreement is clearly SAG-AFTRA trying to snatch some degree of power in AI's use in game development. Let's see here. Voice over processes altogether. SAG-AFTRA executive producer President Linda Powell spoke on behalf of the union at CES, stating that the following record snippet. In the same way they thought they could replace teachers, are they really going to be able to replace a performance? I don't think so, but that doesn't mean they won't find a way to train audiences to accept less in certain circumstances, because they're always going to be trying to maximize profit, and expediency is key. Now, there's quite a bit into this article. Here is a quote by a Melissa Mendina. This is just a Twitter thing, not X, Twitter. There's no such thing as X. We do not have... I hit a button. We do not have to be anti-AI, but we do need transparency. No one told about Replica informed consent to know what this agreement entails and whether it considers that technology abilities of AI control able to remove our voices from platforms and from AI model itself. All right, so short story long, AI is going to be becoming more prominent in the video game industry. You're already seeing it now. The upcoming Prince of Persia, stay tuned for a review, has got AI voice work and lines in it. I read about that today. I believe Justice League, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League had AI in it as well, as far as voice acting and dialogue stuff. And you'll have to look that up yourself. I can't remember all the details on it. And several games have done this. I do not like it. I am, just as Pat is a graphic whore, I am a voice acting whore. I do not like bad voice acting. I do not like bad dialogue. I want, when a game is talking, I want it to be a good voice actor. I want it to be good dialogue. I want to be enthralled in the story. That's why Sony first party games have done so well, because they have great writers and great scripts and great voice actors. Even if it's a game I'm not that into, those things always are awesome. Always set up great. So I don't want to jump in too much, because I want to let these guys jump in. These guys are tech guys. I am not a tech guy. I play video games. That's me. So, Pat, what do you think? Do you think AI voice stuff is really the way to go? And where does it end?
I don't honestly see a problem with this as long as it's consensual. So, I mean, if the voice actor signs away, not necessarily signs away, but signs up to be allowed that their voice can be AI interpreted and used in other stuff, as long as they agree and they're fully compensated for it, then what's the problem? I think a lot of this is that most of the people in the SAG-AFTRA were not really aware of this that was being worked on, which is most of the actors, I should say, which is the problem, right? That they should have had a say in this. I don't know how that comes through without them not having a say. If they have I don't know much about their structure, their organization structure. They have a board that makes all the decisions and like their negotiations with the studios and stuff like that. But it sounds like most of what I'm hearing is that they were just kind of unaware that this was conspiring, right? And that's a problem because then that's not really a union, in my opinion, because they didn't have a say and we're okay with accepting this or not accepting this as part of our contractual agreements. But the whole thing behind it that I feel is that at some point, they need protection, and protection is consent. They need to be able to say whoever holds, if they're alive, they hold control, right? If they have passed on and their family now owns rights to their estate or whatever, they need to have the ability to say, we're okay with this or we're not okay with this. And they need to be able to have that say. And they just need protection in that aspect, right? Because we've seen stuff like this where AI has already done things like this, like the whole Tupac thing where they put on the holographic, thing with an AI voice. We would have never had that if they weren't allowing something like this, right? Because the family had to sign off on this. And that's one instance, one small instance out of a bunch. Like there are so many games out there that use AI voice or things like that are going to become more popular. And I kind of try to put it back in the time when we were young. So when we were young, we're talking 80s and 90s here, when video games were still in their infancy, there wasn't a whole lot of voice actors going around, right? It wasn't a whole lot of voice acting in games. It was a lot of reading, or if you did get voice acting, it was that computerized voice, the weird voice that you could tell was computer simulated. That was an expense that video games didn't have, right? And now that video games are here, we're paying, and it's, if you think about it, it's the reason why the cost of gaming is going up. If they have now got to, instead of paying a bunch of developers and animators and project managers to keep the project in tow, now we have to worry about, we need to pay voice actors, which they should be, right? If you're gonna have voice acting in your game, then you need to do that. The whole thing about training us to accept less, I think is a joke. That's like training us. That's like stupid, in my opinion. It's like people are going to accept what they want. And like Shane's a voice actor snob. He's not going to accept less. Me, I'm a graphic snob and a gameplay snob. I could rest on the voice acting stuff. If the voice acting stuff wasn't enough, that's an annoyance. Like there's an annoyance level crappy, and then there's just like, this isn't the best. I could ignore the best if the gameplay is just stellar. If the gameplay is amazing and the graphics are good, I could ignore it. Shane could not ignore it. But, to each their own. It's not going to train me to like less and less, because I could already, if they put in a robotic voice for that character, I really wouldn't care, to be honest with you. Now, do I love hearing my favorite actors or actresses in games? Cool, I do, yeah. I mean, I love it when I hear somebody that I recognize from one game to another, But it also shows you how small the pool of voice actors is for gaming or animation or things like that. I mean, just take the US anime market when they translate Japanese anime or any other country anime into English. It's the same handful of people doing the voices. Like I can hit Edward Elric in so many voices. I can hear people in all same voices. I'm just like, I know that guy, I know that girl. Yeah.
Yep. Purdy Sage does every anime.
Yeah.
Piccolo, every anime. Yeah.
And you can hear it. And that's what I'm saying is that, and so me picking that out is cool, but at the same time, it's not necessary to me. Like I don't want to go back to reading the story, but at the same time, I don't see the problem with this. So I fail to see the issue outside of it sounds like these guys weren't notified that their union had did this on their behalf, which is a problem to me. But if the people in SAG-AFTRA agreed to this, the majority said we're game for this, then I don't see a problem, because it's not like they said, hey, these guys have free use of your voice after you recorded your lines for eternity. Or if it's shady works, like we haven't seen the contract yet, so it could be shady works, right? It could be like in your contract, it says you have to manually opt out of this feature. And I'll be like, the automatic default should I'm opt out unless I opt in. So the default should always be in benefit of the actor and not be ambiguous on their behalf. So, and that could be part of it. I haven't seen the contract. I haven't read it. I don't think it's been released or anything so everybody can read it. There's details, but the contract. So that could be part of it. Maybe they're worried that that's what's in there. By default, you're auto-enrolled in something, which we all know auto-subscription, auto-enroll into something is just garbage. Nobody wants it. We fight it all the time. If that's the case, then shame on SAG-AFTRA for not representing their union members properly. But I honestly, if they all in agreement and they want this, then I don't see a problem with it. It's a consensual thing. But like I said, there's a few things I don't know and then I would like to know before making the final verdict. But from what I can see now, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. But I'm not an actor and I'm not part of the union, so I don't know. Nick, what do you think about this, man? What are your thoughts on this whole AI voice acting stuff and then this new uproar about the way that the new union contract is going to work?
I mean, the way I look at it is AI is well, AI has always been around, but I mean the inclusion of AI now, the way it's being utilized for voice acting and various other things, it's here to stay. I feel like, and more is new versions of Chat GPT and Microsoft is including AI. They just updated the keyboard that has an AI button on the keyboard. All right, a new key on there. We talk about the AI, voice acting and stuff like that going on. Like what they just released, or they're going to be releasing a George Carlin AI comedy special, which now in that case, the family did not say okay to, so that's wrong, right? But that type of stuff's going to happen. I mean, next we'll probably get a Robin Williams one, and Bernie Mac and stuff like that, like all those dead comedians having AI specials, right? Regardless of whether or not the family signs off on that type of stuff. But my point is, AI is here to stay, and AI is going to get better as it progresses. You may have saw at the beginning there was an AI that came into the room just a little bit ago, so they're everywhere. But the point is like voice actors, even actors, and various other forms of media have got to be able to protect themselves, right, with AI advancing and growing and progressing, right? So it's good for SAG-AFTRA and others to get out ahead, and there should be regulations and stipulations and laws and things like that put into place, because right now it's the Wild West with AI, right? It can be pretty much used for anything, and there's really since AI is going to become a vital part of everyday life, it really needs to be reined in and kind of controlled to make sure that things don't get out of control, right? And they have started to get out of control, and it really needs to get reined in, especially with, because, and this just goes beyond voice acting, right? News articles or news videos of people saying things that they didn't say, right? And it's hard to tell now. There are some signs where you can tell that it's AI generated, but as that stuff progresses, it's going to get worse and worse to really be able to recognize, is that the real person saying it or is it AI saying it? That gray zone is going to get slimmer and slimmer, and you won't know, right? So I agree with Pat in saying that I think it's good for SAG to kind of try to get out ahead and say, hey, this is going to happen anyway, so let's put something in place to kind of keep our actors good as far as being able to contract in and out of this, and being able to opt in to having their voices used, and not just willy-nilly Wild West style where anybody can say, hey, I'm not going to pay you. I'm just going to use your voice in this thing. There's no regulations, there's no laws or anything like that. I can just do it. Right. And to have this type of stuff, which ultimately we need to have, is regulations and kind of laws and various things around the use of AI. That's overall, right? Not just for SAG-AFTRA, that's for everything. So, but I also agree with Pat as well. It seems like a lot of the people or a group of people within SAG were not aware of this happening, and that's bad, right? Everybody should be aware. Everybody should be on board. They should be able to all voice their concerns and have their meetings and all decide as a group, and not have SAG-AFTRA just pull the rug out from under them and say, hey, look, they should all be able to talk about and discuss what they want to do. But ultimately, when it all comes down to it, AI is, again, like I said, it's getting more advanced, it's becoming more prominent. And so, whether voice actors or comedians or politicians or whoever it is, whether they like it or not, they really need to be looking into, as well as our government and various other entities need to be looking into, how do we protect those individuals and our intellectual properties and various things like that from AI taking over, or someone else using AI to replicate our stuff, right? And be able to protect those actors. Because, it's going to get to the point where even on-screen actors are going to be AI generated. You're going to have someone, you might have a movie in the next 10 years that has Pee Wee Herman in it, right? Or, whoever, some dead actor or actress that's been gone for a long time. And then there they are, right, on the screen, and they're talking and they're acting and they're doing various things. And it's all just AI generated stuff. So, as these things progress, this type of stuff is going to happen more and more. You're going to have musical artists, just like Pat was talking about with Tupac. You're going to have new albums come out from, Biggie and Tupac's new album are out in stores, right? Or, I mean, they wouldn't be out on CD, but they would be out on digital and Spotify or something, right? Go and download their new album, and it's all just AI generated tracks and stuff like that. And that's type of stuff that's going to happen. So, the best thing for anybody to do in those types of acting or, musicians or whatever, is they need to be able to protect themselves. And so really that this type of thing is good as far as like getting with this Replica Studios and putting together a contract and some sort of formal legal document. And really all different types of various media should be doing the same thing, because it's going to happen anyway. So why not protect yourself and get things kind of the ball rolling and making sure that you're protected, than just letting it run rampant and go, I don't like it. Well, it's you may or may not like it, but it's going to happen, right? There's a lot of things I don't like either. We talked about everything's going to go digital completely. Where we're not going to have physical media. We already talked about how Best Buy and Walmart are getting rid of their physical media. I mean, eventually it's going to get to the point where you're not going to be able to go to the store and buy a DVD or a Blu-ray or a video game. They're all going to be 100% digital. That's going to happen. That doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow, but give it a few years and that's going to be the case. And as much as we don't like it, we all like our physical media, it's going to happen. So whatever we can do to, in the case of physical media with the preservation acts and preserving that type of stuff, and as well as with voice actors and musicians and things like that, being able to protect their intellectual properties, their voice in this case, or their acting, they should do this type of stuff as well. Get out ahead of it and make sure that those regulations and laws are in place, so that way it doesn't, like I said, run rampant and become the Wild West of AI. That's what I think.
While I agree that you guys have the First Amendment right to say these things, you're both wrong. My biggest problem with this, and I fully agree with you guys. I do. Painfully, I do. My biggest problem with this is any tools that are utilized to reduce your people, I disagree with. Tools that are put in place to help your people, create new positions, things like that, I'm okay with. My problem is AI is going to reduce people from any part of a job that uses AI. We were talking about the other day, we got an email. I work for an architecture firm. An email from some company saying, hey, we have this program that it's all AI based. You just basically say what you want, how you want it, and the color you want it, and it will give us these things. And then it will also produce minimalized construction documents. No, I want to keep my job. But I understand it's inevitable because people don't care about people anymore. That's my problem. Now, if this has to be the way it is, then the actors for this situation, the actor's absolutely right, Pat. They have to opt in, not opt out. They should also be able to review. So just as an example, let's say they try to, they take Bill's voice, they put Bill in a game. Bill has the right to say, okay, I can choose whether or not I like the way this is done. Because it's his voice. Remember, he's going to be, he'll be the one to get blamed, regardless of AI being used. He will be the one to get blamed because, like you said, I'm a voice snob. So I love Kevin Conroy as Batman. They brought him back for Suicide Squad using AI, and it was shitty, pardon my language. It was terrible acting. It wasn't done right. You could tell there was something wrong. Kevin Conroy will get some feedback on that, even though he's dead.
I mean, that's where the AI companies and AI in general, when AI is in use, there has to be something in place, a law or whatever that says that you have to say this is AI generated, right?
Yes, I would agree with that. But I also think that it's like saying, I give you permission to do this, but taking it back after the fact. I think you should have the permission to say what you allow your voice to be used in, right? Like you be like, hey, I'm okay with using my voice in video games, movies, but you can't use me in a tobacco ad or a beer commercial
or something like that,
or whatever. That's the way it should be. You need to set those rules up front. You can't say, I allow you to use my voice everywhere, no matter what, free use. Yep. And then when they do something that you don't like, you can't come back and say, well, I didn't mean for that. I think you need to have tight controls and you need to have legal protection.
That's why you should be able to go in and listen to the performance that they're providing with your voice. Do you remember when Final Fantasy Spirits was released?
Yeah.
Everybody was up and like, oh my God, they don't even need actors anymore. They can just walk into a booth, say their lines and walk out. Yeah, they can, but they're not using that actor's face. So, and it's going to get to the point where you're not going to have real actors.
But
you're not going to have a real actor's voice. You're not going to have a real actor's face of it because eventually AI is going to be able to just make this crap up. Plain and simple. Now, don't get me wrong. If they could go back and redo the voice, the dialogue for Final Fantasy X and make it sound good, I would be all for it. But I don't know. AI is a scary
thing. Those
thing.
people are still alive. Okay.
But they were terrible.
But
except for Riku.
It's a slippery slope.
Yes, it is. Because AI is a dangerous tool, but it is a tool.
At one point, it can take things away, but at the same time, it gives things, right? Like AI didn't appear out of thin air. Didn't come out of thin air, right? So you talk about AI taking things away. It also enhances and adds jobs. There has to be people to create, develop, and help the machine learning because AI is not artificial intelligence. Whatever you say, it's not artificial intelligence. It's machine learning.
Program. Yes.
It's machine learning. Somebody taught this thing by making it read a bunch of crap, or in this end, analyzing voices and recreating voices. And then, because right now it's not going to be a great actor, right? AI voice acting is going to be like monotone and flat. And as it progresses and learns, it will get better.
Batman.
Right. But some people or a group of team created that,
Yes.
and
but let me ask you this. Look at the auto industry. How many thousands upon thousands of jobs were lost to the auto industry once they developed machines to do those roles?
Guess how many jobs it created to make people the technicians to build those and the software to run those?
Less jobs created. I guarantee it.
I don't guarantee it. Don't guarantee it.
I guarantee it, because once they had it down, they got rid of the people that created it. There was no need for them.
Because you needed the people to support that device. No, that is the stupidest thing ever.
They still had their support team. Don't get me wrong. But Bill moved on. They got rid of Bill. Yes, you can't.
You need to learn.
Once they have their infrastructure, once they have their setup, development. They don't need you no more.
Once development builds something, they just don't vacate the premises. That's the dumbest thing ever.
That's like literally
development builds something.
They still have to have a support, but they do not have to have the same guy there who created it. That's how often. That's why the tire guy is
what
gone
drafting
from
software
Chevy.
do you use? Did they just develop it and run away? No. The company is still developing it. There's software that runs that. Tool, there is software that runs that robot. There is hardware in that robot. Those are two different groups of people. There has to be somebody to write the software, people to support the hardware.
It takes one person to write that software. It took 5 people to do the job. I'm just paraphrasing it. It takes one person to do that job. Cost 5 people the job at the factory.
I don't agree with that because technology has been increasing over years and years and years. So let's use your example for automotives. Then the whole automotive industry has been horrible and going downhill from the beginning, right? Because it took
that's true.
Before automated lines, it took tons of people to make a car, and then automated. Henry Ford made had made not automation, but the assembly line. So then they streamlined it, less people, but. People often forget that there has to be people to maintenance that assembly line. There's developers and people out there improving on that assembly line. So even though a job is lost, a job is still gained.
People lost jobs. More people will lose jobs than people gain jobs.
I don't think so. We are an ever increasing population in this world. And that would mean that as we advance, there'll be more and more and more unemployment. But that's not the case. Unemployment has historically gone down over the years and has stayed flat. In some cases. So that is a horrible and wrong theory. And I'm sorry, but I don't buy into that. Artificial intelligence creates ease of use. It will eliminate some jobs, I will say, but it will also enhance and increase other jobs. Somebody has to write the software, debug software, keep increasing the software, support the software. I just don't see it
creating more jobs than it takes. That's not their goal. Their goal is to increase profit. And they'll eliminate more jobs if they can have tools that keeps the job going.
I mean, your job is enhanced by it. Have you not used AI in anything you do? Like, have you not been like, even if it's just for fun?
No.
If for fun you do.
For fun.
I know for fun you do.
Yeah, I play with AI.
I edit the videos and audio for this. AI has made that job so much easier. Did he eliminate it? No, because audio is
because nobody pays us.
Nobody, but I'm just saying that even if AI was out there, it's not 100% trustworthy and it never will be. There's just no way. So like AI can do something to some. Let's just take, for example, AI imaging. When AI came out and it was doing images, people were coming out with 6 fingers on a hand and 10 fingers on one hand and then 3 eyeballs or 1 eyeball.
You just described inbreeding.
But then it just slowly got better, right? But it's not going to replace an artist. I'm sorry, but the way that it designs art, I'm like, there is something inherently like the uncanny valley to it. And that's the same thing with voices.
It'll get better.
I think the same thing with voices. It's going to be really hard to replicate like you and I having this conversation with the pitch and change in our voices as we're talking over each other or trying to get our point across and things like that. It's going to be really hard for AI to do that. And maybe it'll get there one day. But I think that it's never going to replace a whole group of people, but it will enhance that. Like, I don't know. I don't know how there's no laws, right, to protect anything right now. So like, that's why the George Carlin thing that Nick was talking about is happening. There's no laws, that say this can't happen. And they just went ahead and did it without permission, which is horrible. They should ask the family first, but they have to be careful how they make laws. Like if they just make open-ended blanket laws about replicating something without approval of the family, do you know what that does to the economy still? How many of those Elvis impersonators are going to get in trouble because they replicating somebody else without permission, because that's what they are. They replicate. You're never going to get married in Vegas by Elvis again. That's just a funny little anecdote about that. But I mean, that's what it is, right? You go on Times Square, there's the guy dressed up as Spider-Man taking photos, and these people.
Oh, he needs arrested.
But they're not getting permission, but they're profiting off of something that's not theirs, right? They're not out there arresting them. But if you go about and say, so they have to be careful with AI laws. I think they need to put into things and specifically state AI and not just say replication of this person's voice is illegal, right? Because then you're going to get voice impersonators who go out there and impersonate Rodney Dangerfield, or the guys who do, you probably watch them, the guys on YouTube who are really good at impersonating another guy's voice that you can barely disseminate.
Like that would outlaw that. Tom Cruise guy. That was
or the guy who does Peter Griffin. He runs around, he acts like Peter Griffin, sounds like Peter Griffin. I think stuff like that. So that's just my opinion. I don't think that AI is going to steal anybody's job. AI may eliminate jobs, like you said, but at the same time, it's creating jobs on the other back end. Somebody has to program it, somebody has to develop it, somebody has to teach it, and then somebody has to support it. There's a whole business model behind that.
Fair balance. So that's all I'm saying, because I know Nick's trying to get out of here because he looks so impatient right now. But I don't personally see the balance working out. That's just my concern. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with AI. I've used AI in some of our imaging and things like that. Not at work, but I've played with it, and I can definitely see how it's useful. It's like any tool. Any tool can be used for great things or terrible things. And that's my concern, is the terrible end of it. So, but since you got to hear me and Pat bitch and bicker, let us know what you think. Who's right? Who's wrong? Are we both right? We both wrong? Is Nick still impatient? Let us know. But let us know what you think about this whole SAG-AFTRA thing. From what, do you know more than us? Have you read more than us? Do you know anybody that's in on it? Let us know what you know, because we're concerned that it's going to be used for evil instead of good, because people do that. So anyways, thank you for listening all the way to the end here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit those notifications. Give us your feedback. And until next time, see ya.